it seems that the brightly armoured Eldar fire dragons aren't going to have quite as much trouble ensuring the complete destruction of their foes. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today we're looking at another exciting Eldar datasheet. This one's another one that seems to have escaped from that playtester codex, and some nice new hints as to where one of the aspects are going. Fire dragons haven't exactly seen a lot of play throughout 8th and 9th edition, despite having some seriously powerful guns. Most Eldar armies that I've seen over this time tend to prefer to rely on the very long range and quite destructive Dark Reapers, still very reliable damage dealing and not having to get quite so close up. In particular, fire dragons were criticised a fair bit at the start of 9th edition, just for a bit of game imbalance between, say, them and the Space Marine Eradicators, who not only got similar firepower at a longer range, but were also much tougher to take down as well. Now though, we've got a glimpse of what might well be inbound from the new codex, and the destructive fire dragons do appear to be wielding some of the most destructive melter weapons in 40k. I guess kind of fits with their lore really. They're the aspect embodiment of the Eldar dragons. They embody Kayla Mencha Kane as the destroyer, utterly obliterating any enemies foolish enough to get in their way. So first up, it does appear that fire dragons appear not to be one of the models that are going to be getting a new kit in the new Eldar Codex. It does truly seem like there's going to be an enormous amount of releases for the Eldar, but fire dragons are sticking with their current resin kit at the moment. It does appear that the release is really quite a big and generous one, but I'm sure there's still going to be a few relics left over, much like the Orc Tank Busters when they had their massive range refresh. In any case, it appears that fire dragons are going to be an elite's choice, 5 to 10 models at 23 points each, which currently would represent a plus 3 point change from their current 20. If you play in power level, then they're going to be 6 for a squad of 5 and 12 for a squad of 10. Profile wise, they've seen a small defensive upgrade. They remain movement 7, weapon skill and ballistic skill 3+, and a strength of 3, but they do appear to have gained a toughness of 4. They each have 2 attacks now rather than 1, and they've gained a 5+ invul save as well. I suspect that the attacks are going to be an aspect-wide thing, with things like Drakari Cavalite Warriors and Necron Immortals going up to 2 attacks each. Games Workshop has been a bit happy to hand out extra attacks to slightly more elite models, even if they aren't particularly melee focused. The toughness 4 and the 5+ invul save will certainly keep them on the table a little bit longer. I do kind of wonder exactly why they've gone to toughness 4 though. I'm not sure if there's something in their lore or backstory that means that they're hardened to suffering a bit more than most Eldar. The Exarch remains hitting on 3s, he doesn't hit on 2s or anything, but gains 2 wounds and 3 attacks instead. Keywords wise, they are core, they're infantry aspect warriors, and have the Azayani and Craftworld's keywords. Nothing really too unexpected there, I guess. Moving on to the exciting stuff though, let's talk about the weapons. Each fire dragon is just at standard armed with a dragon fusion gun now, a small upgrade on the standard fusion gun that was basically a melter gun from before, though they do appear to have lost access to their melter bombs. I can't say that it seems to be the biggest deal though, as those dragon fusion guns are far more dangerous than they were. Still 12 inches, assault 1, but now a massive strength 9, AP -4, and damage d6+2 all the time. I guess if you want one shot to be very meaningful, then this would certainly do it. Strength 9 is just great against their very heavy targets, and the fact that they don't have to get within 6 inches to activate their melter effect means that they're going to be a lot more threatening even if they don't get right up close. Just on average math, with their special rule taken into account, it means that if you can deliver these guys to within 12 inches of a vehicle, if it doesn't have any sort of arcane protection like an invul save, it's likely going down. The average damage output of 5 dragons with fusion guns is going to be around about 14 wounds to a toughness 7 or 8 vehicle, though obviously that is hideously swingy. You could roll incredibly well or miss a whole ton of shots. Not too bad at all though for an 115 point unit. The Exarch can opt to swap out that gun for a couple of different options though. First up they have a Dragon's Breath Flamer. That one shoots at 12 inches, assault d6 shots that auto hit, and they hit at strength 6, AP -1 and damage 1. So basically a boosted heavy flamer there. I kind of have mixed feelings about that. It certainly seems none too bad against hordes, but it still doesn't exactly feel like it's going to make the squad as a whole very decent against infantry. I think I'd probably be more tempted to stick with the regular fusion gun, or maybe upgrade to this fire pike. Talking of which, the fire pike does look especially vicious. An 18-inch single shot at strength 9, AP -4, and a huge damage d6+4. This thing's just going to be a ridiculously high value shot. If you do manage to punch a wound through, it's going to be around 7 or 8 wounds on average. Now of course these stats do feel a little bit on the scary side. Games Workshop really does like inflating damage characteristics in 9th edition, it would seem. but I do kind of feel it might be necessary enough to make them into a decent unit. If you're not going to be a unit that can both deal decent damage and also take a punch, then the damage that you do just has to be especially nasty, as there's every chance that you're only going to be able to live to deal it once. I think even with toughness 4, a 3+ save and a 5+ invul, it's still going to be fairly painful whenever the fire dragons are shot at. They're likely to get very close to the enemy, and are likely to be right at the top of the priority list for gunning straight down in your own phase, or maybe even charging in combat. I feel like they're certainly all round better now, but still very specialised to their niche role, as aspect warriors should be perhaps, and I don't think they're a unit that you're going to want to spam absolutely loads of. Anyway, aside from weapons, they do have a few other special rules, including some Exarch Powers. Rules-wise, they have Battle Focus, rumoured to be the move, shoot, and then move d6 inches, so that could be one good way to keep them safe. The 5+ invul save that was rumoured to be present on all the aspect warriors, and the Strands of Fate special rule, I guess that one could be handy enough to lock in a big advance to get them in range, and they certainly seem like one of the better choices for converting some massive damage by some automatic wounds. Finally, their Assured Destruction special rule is a small buff against vehicles and monsters. You get to reroll wound rolls of 1 against them with the whole squad. Finally, there's a trio of optional extra Exarch powers. Apparently these are going to be going to points cost upgrades now. I hear a lot of them around about the 10 to 25 point mark. First up we have Blazing Fury. This one gives the squad plus 4-inch range to its weapons. Certainly seems very nice for a unit starting on the board. Whether or not you can get these massive melter shots in range is going to be absolutely key. Then, certainly a very scary one is Burning Heat. Apparently squad weapons auto-wound within 9 inches. It does mean that you have to deliver them even closer, but that's usually going to equate to an extra 50% damage out of the squad. I have a feeling that that could well be a very pricey one, though admittedly at strength 9 they're going to be wounding just about everything on a 3 anyway, and being at 9 inches means that you wouldn't be able to use it out of webway strike or anything. So I'm still not sure to be an auto-include for every use case. Finally, there's an Exarch specific upgrade called Dragon's Bite. This one gives the Exarch himself plus 2 damage on his attacks versus monsters and vehicles, or if he's carrying a Dragon's Breath Flamer, it's plus 1 damage and reroll wounds rolls against those targets with the Flamer. Again, that seems to be putting the squad even further down the just good against monsters and vehicles niche. I guess it would depend on just how much the points cost upgrade is. Plus 2 damage on an attack that might easily fail to hit or wound doesn't necessarily sound like the strongest pick to me. I'm afraid at this point I don't know whether they'd replace the Assured Destruction special rule, or whether that would be in addition. In any case, if these rules survive the playtest and they are inducted into the new Eldar Codex, it does seem like really positive news for the destructive aspects of Khaine. Maybe it's going to be the Eradicators that are looking at these guys in envy, rather than the other way round. As always, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Could you see some fire dragons being at the forefront of the Craftworld host if they were released like this? If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where we'll certainly keep regular updates on any new releases Games Workshop brings out, and talk about any other leaked rules. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel quite a bit, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.